Hello and welcome to Politics Today, reaching you live from our global headquarters here in the nation's commercial nerve center, Lagos. I'm Jeffrey Uzongo, sitting in for Sheun Okimbalue. Now, welcome back from this very long holidays. You have 3 days to rest. And as you prepare for yet another few more days to rest at the weekend, we just want to wish that you take as much time as possible to relax. They say chill and enjoy every part of the show today. But whilst you're at it, a lot is going on in the polity. And one of those issues is the ever-evolving political crisis in Rivers State. There are new things unfolding. Today, we'll speak to those in the know. And just 9 out of about 16 lawmakers of the Plateau State House of Assembly have been inaugurated. The Speaker of the Assembly joins us on the program to explain what exactly is going on. It's a bit complicated and straightforward at the same time. We're going to make sense of that situation and tell you all the behind the scenes right here on the show. But first, let's intimate you with the latest data coming from the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, showing that Nigeria's crude oil production dropped to 1.234 million barrels per day in March compared to 1.322 in February 2024. Now, that's according to OPEC's monthly oil market report for Nigeria, showing a decline of 92 barrels per day recorded in March, bringing the total loss for the 2 months to about 196,000 barrels per day. However, OPEC data indicates that the country's average crude oil production in the first quarter of 2024 was 1.327 million barrels per day, higher than the 1.313 million barrel average oil production in the fourth quarter of 2023. Well, that information is quite vital, given the fact that the central bank, what you call the fiscal authority, the monetary authority, are doing a lot to push back a lot of things. So the fiscal side has to do a lot, which is why this information is quite vital. Now, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, that's oil, Mr. Heineken Lokpobri, has responded to that report on the shortfall of crude oil production, maintaining that there is no cause for alarm. It says measures have been put in place to address the situation to reverse the southward trajectory. In a statement by Special Advisor on Media and Communication, Mr. Nnemeka Okafor, the minister says, and this is what he said, the reported production shortfall was primarily due to issues encountered on the Trans-Niger pipeline, coupled with maintenance activities carried out by some oil companies operating in Nigeria. He says the issues have been adequately addressed and production is expected to return to its previous levels in the coming days. Mr. Lokpobri believes Nigeria oil production, including the condensate, which was approximately 1.7 million barrels per day prior to this development, will be restored sooner than later. So that's the prayer of everyone, because whatever the CBN is doing to make sure that the Naira rebounds and gains as much ground as possible, if we don't ramp up production to get as much forex in, besides the FPI, is going to be a problem. Let's head now to the courts, where the former central bank governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, has just been granted bail in the sum of 50 million naira with 2 sureties in like sum by the Lagos State High Court, sitting in Ikeja. Justice Raman Oshodi, who granted the bail, held that the sureties must be gainfully employed and have 3 years tax payment with the Lagos State government, among other requirements. The judge says he was satisfied with the bail conditions of 1 million naira, earlier granted to Emefiele's co-defendant, Mr. Henry Isioma Omoile, who is standing trial on another charge before Justice Olufunke Sule Hamzat of the Lagos High Court, sitting in Yaba. The court maintains that the bail documents must be transferred to the Special Offences Court, and it must also be registered in the Lagos State Bail Management System. Last week, Monday, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission had charged Mr. Godwin Emefiele and his co-defendant before the court on a 26-count charge bordering on alleged abuse of office and irregular allocation of $4.5 billion and 2.8 billion naira, respectively. And so basically, that's the latest that's coming from the court as far as the issue of the former central bank governor is concerned. We can also tell you that the 2 students of the Federal University in Wukari in Taraba State have been released. We just got news that the 3 students that were also kidnapped, University of Calabar, have also been released. And this information is coming from the institution. So we're glad that these students are back to their families and all of that. But that's not all we have for you. Let's take a look at some of our political roundup stories, and then we'll get to that conversation we talked about.
The Lagos High Court sitting in Ikeja has granted bail to the former Central Bank Governor, Godwin Emefiele, in the sum of 50 million naira, with two sureties in like sum. Justice Rahman Oshodi, while granting the bail, held that the sureties must be gainfully employed and have evidence of 3 years' tax payments with the Lagos State government. Justice Oshodi also said the sureties must show proper identification and they must be registered in the Lagos State bail management system. For Emefiele's co-defendant, Henry Omoile, the judge says he is satisfied with the bail conditions of 1 million naira earlier granted him by another judge of the State High Court, Justice Olufunke Sule Hamzat, where he is also standing trial. Justice Oshodi ordered that the bail documents be transferred to the Special Offences Court and registered in the Lagos State bail management system. In the light of the persisting insecurity in Nigeria, ranging from insurgent attacks to banditry and kidnappings, some concerned citizens are calling for the adoption of technology to bolster security efforts. The chairman of the Police Service Commission, Mr. Solomon Arase, and Bishop Matthew Kuka of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Sokoto made the call during the Innocent Chukwuma Second Annual Impact and Legacy Lecture organized by the Clean Foundation. Mr. Arase advocates for immediate need to incorporate advanced surveillance systems, drones, and data analytics to improve intelligence gathering and response capabilities. In a similar vein, Bishop Matthew Kuka highlights some pressing needs which require the use of modern techniques by government at all levels to facilitate swift deployment of resources and ensure coordination among security forces as a vital measure in protecting communities.
We can very urgently and decisively place a timeline for ending this cruelty, this unacceptable, this intolerable hemorrhaging of human lives and the collective humiliation of all of us. So there are just no two ways about it.
To Ebonyi State, where the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in the state says it remains focused and committed to deepening democracy, even as mass defections to the All Progressives Congress hit the party in recent times. At a stakeholders meeting in Isu, in Onyocha local government area of Ebonyi State, the governorship candidate of the party in the 2023 general elections, Mr. Ifeanyi Odi, notes that the PDP remains resolute, united, and focused. He adds that the party continues to engage with communities and people and will work together to build a stronger and sustainable future for citizens of the state.
As we look ahead, I am more persuaded ever than our opportunity for greater positive impact in the state are more glaring than ever.
In Edo State, the leaders and stakeholders of the People's Democratic Party Edo South Legacy Group, as well as a former House of Representatives member representing Oredo Federal Constituency, Omorege Ogbede Ihama, have spoken out against what they consider marginalization from Governor Godwin Obaseki. Mr. Ogbede Ihama, who addressed the group during a meeting in Benin City, the state capital, accused Governor Godwin Obaseki of neglecting his supporters in the last governorship election.
He took governor, he took deputy governor, he gave it to Ogie, that was the secretary to government, that came with him. Are you stupid?
Welcome back. Besides the carnage that happened on the Plateau in December last year and some part of January this year, one of the things that have been playing out in Plateau State, it's politics. Remember what happened to Governor Caleb Mutfwang that eventually was upturned in the Supreme Court. But the lawmakers of the PDP were not that lucky. 16 of them lost their seats. And the main issue was about the fact that they did not have a party structure. At some point, when the same issue got to the Supreme Court and it went in the favor of Governor Caleb Mutfwang, these members were not happy. But the law is the law. The final court, as far as that level of litigation and adjudication is concerned, was final. Now, what has happened is the fact that those 16 members and all of that, 9 have now been sworn in by the Speaker. 7 are yet to be sworn in, and lots of questions are being asked. That is why the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly is joining us to talk about that development as well as other issues surrounding Plateau State. We're being joined in the program via Zoom by the Speaker himself, Mr. Gabriel Dewa. Thank you so much, Speaker, for coming on the program.
Thank you, Jeff. Good evening, Nigerians. Good evening.
Let's start from some basics. Let's talk about, of course, we have the three arms of government. And let's begin with, what's your relationship with Governor Caleb Mutfwang? I know he's of the PDP, you are of the YPP in that composition.
Well, just as you rightly said, you know, we have three arms of government. And that is what our constitution make it. But those three arms of government work together for the proper delivery of democracy and dividend of democracy to the citizens. And the two arms, that is the legislature and the executive, those are the two main arms that deal with the citizens directly. And as you know, you cannot have any productive governance if the legislation and the executives are not working together. Yes, I'm of YPP. His Excellency Mr. Caleb Manasseh Mutfwang of PDP and my colleagues, that is my other honorable members of APC. But you know, we have what we call pre-election interest and we have post-election interest. Pre-election interest is when everybody is struggling to get power. And when we talk of post-election interest, it's about governance and delivery of democracy to the people. That is to say, after the election is over, we have to close ranks without minding our political party differences, but we have to think of those who elected us back home. It is the same Plateau people who elected me. It is the same Plateau people who elected Barrister Caleb Manasseh Mutfwang. It is the same Plateau people who elected President Bola Mohamed Tinubu, and so on and so forth. So we have to join hands to work together. So basically, I want to let you know and Nigerians know that my relationship with the governor is very cordial and very perfect.
So correct me if I'm wrong. In the composition of the House, we have one member of the Labour Party. You are the only member of the YPP. And then the remaining are APC members. Am I correct, sir?
You are correct. Perfect.
Okay. Now, the issue of the court that went against the PDP lawmakers, 16 of them, favored the APC members. You have sworn in 9 out of the 16 lawmakers that the court's judgment favored. Is there a reason for you inaugurating 9 persons and leaving out the 7? What's going on?
Well, Mr. Jeff, first I want to clear one notion. You know, the major problem with Nigerians is people tend to believe hearsay than the reality that is on ground. Just as we rightly stated, we have 3 arms of government. Every arm has its own functions to perform. I'm a lawmaker, I'm not a law interpreter. Neither am I a law implementer like the executive. What we do in the parliament is to make laws. Now, sometimes November, there was a pronouncement in the court that 16 of my colleagues were removed by court of appeal. That is 16 of my members. As I'm talking to you, from that November, even though before that pronouncement, the assembly have adjourned sitting to January, we went on recess. And it is not at my own discretion as the speaker to the conveners when the House have duly adjourned for a recess. Now what happened is, a pronouncement in the court is different from the normal procedures in the parliament. I'm the speaker, I wasn't in the court, I had it on air that there was a pronouncement that 16 members has been removed. There's no any communication to me either from the INEC or neither the CTC copy of the judgment for me to be sure that truly those members has been removed or anything. And I was waiting for that proper thing to be done. What will I got? Sometime January, a lawyer, one S.O. Obende also, wrote a letter to my office attached with 16 certificate of return of members and forwarded it to the clerk of the House, and the clerk brought it to me. And I replied back, Obende is not my member in the assembly. Why will he be the one to write to me? If court have declared members elect, the members know the normal procedures to follow. And you know the irony? Among those 16 members, 4 of them are former members of that assembly, that they know the procedures of that assembly more than I do as a first-timer. Some of them have been in that assembly for 8 years. They know the normal procedures. Court declared them as members. INEC have given a certificate of return. The right thing to be done was for INEC to write to me as the speaker, directing me that based on this judgment, attaching that communication with the CTC copy of the judgment, that dear speaker, based on this judgment, we have been directed to withdraw certificate of return from Honorable so and replace with Honorable so. Therefore, as an electoral empire, we are directing you, mandating you to recognize this person as a member. That was never done. And
that was Mr. Speaker. That was never done for the 16 members, because we need to put things in context.
Don't worry. I'm trying to give you the breakdown of what delayed the inauguration up to this moment. Okay. You know, many people out there are busy accusing the governor, busy accusing me that we refuse to swear them in with impunity. Some were even threatening of court contempt, and I dare them. I've said it. I asked them, I challenged them to sue me for court contempt. Even the National Publicity Secretary of APC, somebody, Felix Moka, he was on TV, in Arise TV, making noise that they are initiating court contempt on me. I was waiting for him for that court contempt or whatever he was bragging of. We meet in the court. They will show me that court order that I disobey. Then let Nigerians know who is lying and who is saying the truth. They know where their problem is. Such was never done until sometimes 2 weeks ago. I was communicated from my House of Assembly, that is the technocrats, who are responsible for the documentation of the Assembly's document. They told me that 9 members have submitted their certificate of returns and there's a communication. I said, have they met up all the requirements? They say yes. I said, no problem. After all, the judgment that pronounced them of different judgment based on consequences. So I don't know. If the CTC copy of the other 7 is not ready, I can't tell. If it is ready and they are the one who have not submitted it, I can't tell. Or if the INEC have not read, I can't tell. So what was presented to me is what I recognize and I swayed them in. And that's what I did.
So Honorable Dewa,
those whose name has been forwarded to me, and I did just that.
So as the Speaker, have you been able to reach these 7 members to ask them, if you, let's say they are your members, some of them were in the House, you know, have you been able to reach out to them? So say the reason why you're not being inaugurated. Just hold on.
Mr. Jeff?
I wanted to find out whether you've been able to reach out to them to find out from them why they've not been able to present what you're asking them to present before they will be inaugurated.
It is not my duty to reach out to them because they have been on media everywhere attacking my personality. So I see there's no need for me reaching out. They are the one to reach out to me. I am the Speaker. They are my new members.
So let's put it on record. Let's put it on record, Mr. Dewa. You are saying right here that the reason you inaugurated 9 out of 16, left out 7 members of the Assembly who the court judgment favored is the fact that they have not presented the certificate of return as withdrawn from the PDP members and given to them by INEC to you. Is that what you're saying? I want to put it on record.
And the CTC copy of their judgments.
And the CTC copy of their judgment.
Judgments, yes. That it will be the legal tender for me as the Speaker to use it as an evidence for me to swear them in. If such is not presented to me, the PDP members who were removed have every legal right to sue me to court. What am I using to deny them access? I hope you have not forgotten that PDP members have made an attempt to enter the Assembly. And the first question they threw at me was, on which ground am I stopping them from entering? And if I don't have that CTC copy of the judgment, or I don't have any communication from the INEC, what am I going to tell them that they have truly been removed from the court? Is it by verbal pronouncement? It doesn't work like that. It's when I have that legal document, the CTC copy of the judgment, that is the legal document that I will use.
So if something, the point is, I'm trying to process all of this, and I guess Nigerians are trying to process all of this. I'm imagining myself, for instance, getting a favor of judgment, the judgment that took out my opponent in politics. Say they are talking about the APC and the PDP now. The APC members were beneficiaries of a court judgment that brought them into the Assembly. It's difficult to comprehend why a simple information or a document like, as you said, a CTC, I'm not a lawyer, I can't debate whether or not that has to be presented to you or not. The CTC and the certificate of return has to be presented to you. I know that certificate of return, definitely. How hard can it be to just present those basic information to you? I'm sure Nigerians are wondering because it doesn't pan out right.
Answered by the members, the beneficiaries of the judgment, not myself.
Because the other argument is the fact that now these allegations against you and the governor doesn't at the moment have anybody in the House of Assembly as we speak. You're a member of the YPP. There's one Labour Party member. We're going to come to the issue of Labour Party because there's another issue again with the Labour Party in that state. The members taking issue to court. And then APC members are 22. That means they are in the majority. Some are saying all of these is all political because the governor is concerned that since he doesn't have anybody in the PDP in the House, is using you allegedly to stall this process. How would you respond to that?
Well, Jeff, you're in Nigeria. And you know Nigerians, as I earlier said, Nigerians believe in cook-up story more than the reality. I want to put it on record. I'm challenging those with that accusations for me and them to appear in your program. Let's present the facts before Nigerians. Call any one of them and invite me, not even through Zoom. Let's appear before you live. Let's present the facts and figures. Let Nigerians know where the problem is coming from. Governor have nothing to do with the House of Assembly. Governor don't have access to our plenaries. Some are even lying to you people that the governor took the House of Assembly to the government house. It's a lie. That House of Assembly, the complex is under construction since October, even when PDP members were yet to be removed. The House of Assembly, a motion was moved that that complex needs to be reconstructed. Therefore, the city should be relocated to a chamber in the old government house. That old government house that talking about is not even the government house where the governor is using as his office. We have a new government house complex where governor is operating different. This is the old government house, abandoned government house, where even the last assembly, where some of them were part of, have used that particular chamber before. Whenever there is remodeling or renovation in the complex, you can send your representative in the complex and see the massive work we are doing in that complex. We made that complex like more of it was very dilapidated that you cannot even believe that a sitting members, elected members, doesn't have access to offices because all the offices were very dilapidated. And we decided that we need to reconstruct that complex. We need to remodel it. And that prompted issue of moving this plenary to that chamber in Old Government House. Now, the news out there is that the governor moved the House of Assembly to Government House for protection.
Honorable Dale, I know you put up a challenge that you're ready to debate with any member of the Assembly, I mean the 7, who have accused you of working hand in hand with the governor to deny them of that their seats and representation. I'll take that as a good invitation, and we're going to work on that. But you are the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly. I'm re-emphasizing, Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly. That means you represent the entire Plateau State, even though you have a primary constituency as the Speaker. Are you not worried that the 7 constituencies or the constituencies that these 7 members are supposed to represent, they are losing out on representation, losing out on legislation, losing out on oversight? That means a section of the state is denied their voices by what is going on in the Assembly. Are you not worried?
If I'm not worried, then it means I'm not worried to be a representative of the people. Myself, I'm worried. Even the governor himself, the governor that they are accusing, is even more worried than we are. If you have been following his public statements and comments, he is so worried more than us. But who am I to blame? All these challenges we are facing, I still push it back to judiciary. They put us into this predicament that we are facing. We're interested to know that if it were not because of the governor intervention, even the 9 that we shown in, it could have not been possible because there were court processes that I was served trying to prevent me from swearing in even those 9. But the governor used his own goodwill to prevail on some of those interested groups, some civil societies groups who went to court to seek for injunction, to say, no, Plateau need to move on. Those various constituencies need to move on. We have to go on with that pending the examination of those matters in the court.
Honorable Dewa, excuse me, the people that wanted you to not to inaugurate the 9, what were their pleas? What was the issue with the court? What were they saying to the court?
I have the court processing the sample. I can even start with the copy when you people invite us for that live coverage. Their own problem was that with the outcome of the Supreme Court judgment, they cannot be represented by members who were not voted on the ballot. It means there was a miscarriage of justice in the appeal court. And on my part, I told them that it is not at my own discretion to decide what happened in judiciary, because I am not a law interpreter, I'm a lawmaker. Therefore, until the determination of that, their agitations, else for now, I have to comply with the appeal court judgment that was duly served to my assembly. And that is exactly what the governor said. And I have to prevail on those interested groups, because there was a protest. I hope you know there was a protest in the state. They are about to shut down the assembly the day we want to do the inauguration. You're also interested to know that we have to have an emergency sitting an hour before our normal sitting time. We have to suspend our house rule.
So let's begin to wind down now. What happens next? If they don't present this document as far as the lifetime of this assembly is concerned, is it that they will not be allowed in? Or I'm just trying to process what happens next.
Mr. Jeff, you are not a lawmaker, so you may find it strange. But what I'm trying to put across to you and any other Nigerian who is interested in, how can I let them in with what? If the other members that were removed challenge me, that what am I using to recognize their replacements, what will I say? Will I say that I had on the air that they were removed in the court? Does it work like that? It doesn't work like that. That is why when they make a pronouncement in court, they have to type the CTC copy of the judgment. That's why sometimes, even after judgment, people don't take it serious until they lay eyes on the CTC copy before you know what was actually pronounced in the court.
All right, so let's move on. Well, for the lawmakers who are, those 7 lawmakers, I'm sure you're watching, and you're seeing Honorable Gabriel Dewa, the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, putting up a challenge that you haven't presented your document, the CTC, as well as the certificate of return to show that you are rightfully to be in that house. So if you have any objection to it, I would like to have it so that we can have this conversation, because 7 members is quite a number compared to the number of people in the house. Let's move on from that particular issue to other issues now that I have you right here. I started by saying that earlier in the year, there was a carnage on the Plateau. And now that you're Speaker of the House, it's quite sad that the Plateau that usually used to be a destination of choice, more like a heaven, given the weather and the scenery of that particular place. Now people are worried coming to Jos and other places. What is the House of Assembly? What will you, under your leadership, be pushing aggressively to put a limit to these occurrences, if not an end?
Well, you know, this has to do with security issues. And sometimes security issues don't ought to be discussed on a media like this. But to do justice to your question, every citizen of Plateau, every bona fide son of Plateau is supposed to be worried about the in-season killing going on in the state. And like for me as a person, what keeps baffling me is the fact that Plateau is situated in the heartbeat of Nigeria. Plateau do not share border with any country. Plateau do not share border with any external forces. So one begins to wonder which road that these bandits, as they call them, and I don't believe that they are bandits, or non-gunmen, as some may call them, militias or something, they have coined them, keep giving them different names, that these people will pass so many states to enter Plateau with weapons, sophisticated weapons, to be killing our people, maiming our people, and what will we find on the media? That farmers say that's clashes. Very unfortunate. There's not any time the indigenous people of Plateau are going to farm and they clash with any header and started fighting. But what we have in the Plateau is when people are sleeping, they come and kill, burn houses, cut crops that are growing. So basically, for me as a person, I'm speaking as a person, not on behalf of the state government, because I'm not the commissioner of information of the state, neither am I the director of press of the government. But basically, what I want to tell Nigerians is that I have a feeling that there's a conspiracy against Plateau State targeted at ethnic cleansing, a situation whereby our people will be killed and their houses will be occupied by the killers, and nothing is being done. We have lost more than 40 villages.
All right, Mr. Dewa. Mr. Dewa, my simple question yet again is, what will your leadership do aggressively? We have 30 seconds to go.
Security, when it comes to security, is a sole responsibility of the executive, who are in charge of protection of lives and property. We can only legislate. So as a speaker, we give the executive all the needed legislative backing in order to curtail the security challenges by sponsoring bills that have to do with the protection of lives and properties of our citizens.
I must thank you for coming on the program. Right Honorable Gabriel Dewa, Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly. It seems like the issue of the Plateau State House of Assembly is not over, because 13 lawmakers from the Labour Party are seeking for fresh polls for exclusion from the ballot papers in 2023 general elections. So you may brace up for that as well. I don't know how that will pan out, but we wish you the very best. And we hope that when we invite you for that one-on-one with the people that are challenging what you're doing by not inaugurating them into the assembly, we hope you will honor that invitation. Thank you for coming on the program.
Very well. Thank you so much.
Ready for a break. When we come back, Rivers State, that oil-rich state, is going to be in focus. There has been some new development. It keeps festering over who is the leader of the party in the state. A few days ago, the former governor of the state, former Governor Peter Odili, made mention of the fact that Governor Siminalayi Fubara is the leader of the party in the state. But people that are loyal, including people that are in his cabinet, cabinet of Governor Fubara, are still saying that the FCT minister is the leader of the party. Who do we listen to? What does the convention say? We'll speak to someone in the know right here on Politics Today. Join us again. Welcome back. Still right here on Politics Today. We've been joined in the program by former Commissioner for Information in Rivers State and former Managing Director of the NDDC, Mrs. Ibim Semenitari. She joins us via Zoom. Ms. Temtari, thank you so much for coming on the program. It's good to see you.
Thank you. It's good to see you too.
Help us make sense of this new round of, we'll call it face-off in the polity, the latest being the pronouncement by the former governor, Peter Odili, that Governor Fubara is the leader of the party. And in another part of town, I think the chairman of Ebonyi local government, Chidi Lloyd, and the former chief of staff, who is also a cabinet member under Governor Fubara, recognizing that the FCT minister is the leader of the party. It looks like there's a battle over who is the leader of the party, similar to what's going on in Benue. But I need you to take a listen to this, and then you respond to the question.
Funny to see that instead of people focusing on governance, focusing on delivering and discharging the responsibility with which they sought for vote and they were voted for. All you hear every day is that Wike did not do this and Wike did not do that. Is Wike still the governor of Rivers State?
Semenitari, it's up to you now.
Yes. Yeah, good evening. I think that there really isn't much to add to what His Excellency said, Dr. Peter Odili has said. He has served as governor, and he does know the constitution of the People's Democratic Party. It is a no-brainer that the governor is the leader of the party. I'm sure if you check on some of your clips, if you go back, you would have found one or two situations where the former governor, the current FCT minister, had indeed said that the new governor was now the leader of the party. He did say that it didn't matter his age or whatever, but that now all of us should follow Governor Siminalayi Fubara. And I think that just makes sense. So I do not think that those who are having this argument about leadership of it, I think that the point really is one that doesn't need overflogging. It is clear that the governor of the state is the leader of the party. That's the practice. That's the convention. That's what the Constitution says of the party says. So I don't think there's much that we should be debating here.
You know, it may not have been a debate if not that all of this is affecting the posture, the texture, if you will, the outlook of the governance space in Rivers State. The system is getting heated up, something goes down and comes up because of this argument, which is why we are bringing this to the fore, and which is why we keep asking this question. You have been a commissioner under a previous administration. Now, I don't know what you make of a situation where a commissioner in your cabinet, this time I'm talking about Emeka Nwoke, who we played his clip, making that assertion, and he's serving under the governor, Siminalayi Fubara. What do you make of that relationship within the cabinet?
Well, you know, it's an unfortunate turn of events. But part of what that shows is the fact that the current governor is clearly a man of peace. Because I'm not sure any of the previous governors of Rivers State that I happen to know or have served under would tolerate that. They certainly wouldn't. A member of a cabinet serves at the pleasure of the governor. And this is really the way it is. If you serve as commissioner, you are nominated by the governor. You are there to support the governor, to give him advice with regards to your ministry, and indeed you serve at his pleasure. We do have, unfortunately, a situation in Rivers State where there was a political situation, attempted political situation to resolve the issues. And the governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, GSSRS, indeed appears to have decided to toe that line of peace in keeping, I think, with some political arrangements that he may have said, okay, we don't want to overheat the polity. And consistently, he appears to continue to say, I don't want to overheat the polity. I want to focus on delivering the dividends of democracy to Rivers people. I want to focus on meeting my obligations to the people who have gone out on a limb to elect me as governor. I want to make sure that those things I have promised in my manifesto, I deliver. You see a man who is consistently trying to do this and who is trying his best not to be distracted by a lot of the side commentary that is going on.
At the end of the day, how long do you think he can bear this? Because recently we saw him come out and speak in a way we haven't seen him speak in a long while. He said nobody should dare him, that its simplicity should not be mistaken for stupidity. So how long do you think, from your point of view, the governor can continue to bear all of this? Because we're concerned about the peace and security of the state.
Well, I hope that, it's clear. It's clear.
Oh dear.
It's clear that there is this attempt to force him, to force him into a battle, as it were. I am glad that he has continued to maintain a stance, leadership, and servitude.
Okay, we seem to be having a bit of technical glitch.
You know what?
Okay, network glitch.
Rivers State. I'm elected to serve Rivers people. I will not destroy the state, and I will not. It's pretty much. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. At some point, the connection was giving us some problem, but we can hear you loud and clear. Maybe you can just round up what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay, so basically, I'm just saying, it really reminds one of the proverbial Solomon and the two women who were arguing over the baby, and the fact that the woman who owns the baby never wants to destroy her child. I think that's what we have here. We have a governor who knows that he was elected and holds the mandate of Rivers people, and he will not destroy Rivers State, not even when he's pushed to the wall by, quite frankly, people who are not governor of the state.
All right, so let's take, there's a clip of the former Minister of Transportation, who is one of the PDP leaders in Rivers State. I hope he's ready now. I want you to take a listen to what Dr. Abie Sekibo had to say today.
I personally pray that there will be no breakdown of law and order. The only person who wants a breakdown of law and order is the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike. And if he decides to bring it on, we will give it to him. We are not going to run away from it. Nobody, no matter who you are, can threaten us in this state. All of us own this state. But if anybody feels that because he was given an appointment in Abuja, he will use it to destabilize the state, we will show him that he cannot.
Those are the rhetorics coming out. And I can see where we're asking the questions. How would you respond to this?
Well, I think that I'd continue to say, for us in Rivers State, as a Rivers person, as someone who is a stakeholder in Rivers State, I certainly don't want a breakdown of law and order. I am glad that I have a governor who is consistent with his determination not to allow a breakdown of law and order. It is unfortunate that anyone would started trying to get a governor out barely 4 months after the man took an oath of office. It's ridiculous. Who does that? It's never happened anywhere else. And I think that that is part of the problem. I think that well-meaning Nigerians and well-meaning Rivers people have continued to toe the line of peace. And Chief Dr. Sekibo was speaking from a point of view of an elder statesman who is certainly not pleased at the kinds of rhetorics also coming out from people who should know better. So let's say that we have a governor who doesn't want a problem. It isn't that he can't. I mean, the power of the governor is quite enormous, as those who have held that position well know themselves. But I think it is a good thing to see someone who has power and can use it, but pretty much doesn't want to overturn the apple cart. Again, and forgive my references to the scriptures, but it reminds you of when people said to Jesus, you can call down fire from heaven. And he said, no, there's no need to do that. When you are a tiger, you don't need to proclaim your tigritude.
So whilst he's trying to keep the gentle posture and keeping the peace, which is quite commendable, the House of Assembly, led by Mr. Martins Amewule, has said that, look, if you don't follow through with the Peace Pact, I always have it here whenever I talk about Rivers State, 8 provisions or resolutions or Peace Pact, as they call it, we may have to initiate that impeachment proceeding yet again. My question is, madam, if they stay true to their word...
The problem I have with this is...
Go ahead.
The problem I have with this is whether constitutionally they can actually call themselves assembly members. And I don't want to be in breach of the Constitution. I'm not a lawyer, but I think that what the Supreme Court just showed us with the case of Cross River State is that if you're elected or that PDP, you cannot move to APC and continue to call yourself a legislator. So I would rather not join issues with people whose status I'm still uncertain about.
Yeah, because sometimes what is this, the situation in River State is described as the theater of the absurd. The reason why it's described that way is that they defected to the APC. Section 109, subsection 1G also was clear about that. But they said due to the position of the secretary also of the PDP is a premise for their defection and all that argument. Some people said they were grasping at straws. They said they had a legitimate reason. They went for this Peace Pact and everybody signed, all the signatures were signed. And the governor began to do certain provisions of the Peace Pact. It feels like the governor has already accepted that, okay, let peace reign. You are members of the assembly. So if he recognizes that they are members of the assembly, if they carry out the threat, wouldn't it be legitimate?
Did he say, I think it's best to go with what the Constitution says. The governor, with all of the best intentions in the world, cannot flout the Constitution, can he?
No, you can't, according to the law. So,
and I think that we are law-abiding people in Rivers State, and I know that Channels Television would not want us to deviate from obeying the provisions of the law, would you?
No, we're not the one in contention here. It's the Rivers politicians. You guys were, my apologies. Everyone was, our job is to bring it to the fore, set the agenda, provide context. So don't bring us into your fight. We have no way, no place in this fight. We're just presenting the case as it is. The other argument is the fact that when the 800 billion naira budget was presented to the Assembly, it was presented to a House of 4, led by the now Chief of Staff, Edison Ehie. And they are insisting that 4 people in 24 hours cannot sit down and sign an appropriation or approve an appropriation, the spending limit of 800 billion for that millions of people in the state when the House is composed of over 30 people. I needed your comment on that one.
The problem is, as at the time this happened, was there a properly constituted House of 20 what did you say?
32.
I think the courts are probably the best people to interpret it, because from where I'm sitting, and if I recall, the budget was passed to what was the House of Assembly at the time.
I didn't get that.
I'm saying that the budget, which is in contention, was it presented to the House of Assembly that was the House of Assembly at that time? You would recall that at this time, the people you're talking about had already resigned from the PDP, and so could not effectively have been considered members of the House of Assembly, again, following the Constitution.
So what do you think is the future of all, because to the ordinary, these are politicians doing politics and playing politics. One other concern now, which is worrying, is the fact that the governor has come out to say the PDP, without his contribution, according to him, they set up a caretaker committee across the local government, across the world, so I stand to be corrected. And he said that cannot stand because the House of Assembly, yet again, this House of Assembly that you are unsure of how to describe them, have passed legislation literally stripping the governor's power to carry out certain things or certain authority that is initially was put on the governor before, thanks to the amendment of the Local Government Act. But now they have gone on, not the Assembly this time, the party structure has gone on to say there are new caretaker committees. When we understand that the National Working Committee has said, let the former ESCO stay for another 3 months. Don't you see that something is happening around the governor that may sweep him if he's not careful?
So, at the end of the day, honestly, nobody can be bigger than Rivers people. I like this adage that says that if one man cooks for the village, the entire village can finish it. But if the village cooks for one man, it better be ready. So I really think that it's important sometimes that we all remember this adage, whether we're politicians or business people, whatever it is that we are. But having said that, quite frankly, I don't like the issues of conjecturing. I'd like us to stay with what the facts are, what the law is. I do not think that the legislature can afford to want to be both legislature and executive. I've never seen this happen. That's why I'm kind of concerned about the texture and nature of this. Is this a legislative arm? Are those people even House of Assembly members? Are they just some bystanders who are having a conversation? Until we are sure who we are dealing with, it's difficult to proceed with a conversation because the Constitution is clear. And, I think that when in doubt, it's always better to refer to what the law says.
Ms. Sarah, as we round off,
think that it's
my apologies, because I understand we have less than 2 minutes. As we round off, there was the Constitution, there will always be the Constitution, which is our ground norm, but these politicians sat down together and found a political resolution that is still causing chaos, which is why we are having this conversation today. The first conversation we had, when it comes to this issue, and at least what we heard in public was the fact that don't touch my structure. And now the issue of structure has come back again, which is why we are making this a conversation. So,
only that democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people.
If you were to advise
government of the few, by one or two people, and for one person.
If you were to advise
democracy is. So ultimately, the of the people must prevail. And I'm not sure if there was a referendum where Rivers people were asked their views. Was there?
Finally, if you were to talk to Governor Siminala Ifubara, given what is going on, what will you tell him?
I'll ask him to stay focused, to continue to deliver to Rivers people the reason for which they voted him. previous people didn't vote him for any shenanigans. They voted him to give them education, health, and enable them survive. Look, life is tough enough as it is. We really don't need politicians making it tougher for us.
Well, that is what politicians do, and you're on politics today. That's why we talk politics. We hope that everybody finds
Well,
peace.
you guys.
Everybody finds peace out here. Nobody wants trouble. But when these things are happening, we have to bring it in focus. We must thank you, Ibim Sementari, former Commissioner for Information, as well as former Managing Director of the Niger Delta Development Commission, for your perspective on the political embroglio in Rivers State. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having us, and keep doing a good job. And please, my sympathies and apologies for the unfortunate incident with your correspondent.
It will be resolved. We appreciate your concern. Thank you. And that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time and, of course, your usual company. I hope you have a very beautiful weekend. And, of course, I'm Jeffrey Uzama. Thank you for watching. Good night.